English 101 students, I just want to drop a line with the essay being due tomorrow. Just a few comments on things that I noticed in the intro and outline assignments. Some stuff to be aware of with your rough draft in terms of how to access the text. Also, some things you can work on for next time that I noticed in a few of the videos. Okay, let me get my list here. Let's talk about the essays themselves, the intros and outlines. They all have comments on them if you submitted them. Some things that I did notice. A lot of people are using the second person. That's pretty typical in the first essay, but do remember that your grammar and mechanics grade suffers if you use you, your, yourself in the paper. I have my grading guide posted below this video. Where you can take a look at what common mistakes I see in the first paper. Also, it has a guide to my shorthand, and the PowerPoint file that goes with it has links to explanations of the various things that I may mark on a paper. So if you've heard the term, say, comma splice, but you don't remember what it is, I do have a link to an explanation of what that is. So when I do grade your papers, it's Father's Day weekend, so I'm not going to probably get them done this weekend, but early next week. Once I do get the papers graded, you'll understand all the marks that I put in the margins. Make sure that you're avoiding conversational language. That means slang and things of that nature. In addition, in formal writing, we do try to avoid contractions. So we would say can't, or excuse me, we'd say cannot instead of can't, do not instead of don't, and so on. Also, I mentioned this on the thesis statement PowerPoint, but I did see it in a couple of essays. Do avoid blanket statements because they're really easily disproved, and they really don't help your essay. Remember that as much as possible, we want this essay to be specific to our experience. So saying everyone in the world has a great vacation spot that they like to go to. Well, you know, if one person out of the 8 billion of us or so doesn't go on vacations, then that statement's false. That's why we want to avoid blanket statements, because they're either impossible to prove, easily disproved, or they really don't add anything to the essay. So be careful with those in your papers. Also, please do make sure that you're following the formatting guidelines. That's posted in the modules tab. There's a video on how to format your paper. Also, there's instructions on formatting in the margins of the sample descriptive essay. I will post all those files to this announcement, but do keep in mind that you need to make sure that you're formatting your work correctly. All right, on the rough draft videos, remember that with each video you do have to show your identification, and that's for every rough draft. So either your coastal ID or a driver's license, something along those lines. Secondly, the environment video isn't just moving the camera around a little bit. Please show your workspace, any notes that you have with you, outlines. You could have had your intro with you. Show the things that all the materials that you have with you in the environment video to the camera, please. That's about all I had in terms of comments. Do remember when you turn in the essay through turnitin.com that it needs to be a Word file, a PDF, or an RTF for Turnitin to read it. And if you haven't yet done the rough draft, do remember it's a requirement for the paper, and your final draft would lose points if you don't turn in your rough draft. So it is important that you get something done there. If you are having any struggles, please let me know and I'll see what I can do to help fix it. So that's all the news and notes I had. If you have any questions about all this stuff, post them below in the bottom of the announcement. And let's go ahead and turn in a good paper. And even if you don't get the grade you want, as long as you can revise it, you can fix that. So take deep breaths and don't stress too much about the essay. Because there's always a way to improve as long as you get 90% of the word count. So Look forward to seeing your papers. And again, if you have any questions, post them below.